change that we've spent the last couple of years writing books and courses about it to message all this out. Today, I have Barry Fox with me, who is the man that helped build uh, the books that we wrote about it, the biggest one being Cheating Death. So, hi, Barry. How are you doing? And welcome to our live session.
Fine. Hello, Robert, and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I want to jump right into it. Barry, I'm going to introduce you briefly to the people that are watching. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Um, Barry Fox is a writer, a ghostwriter. He helps people write books to message out very important concepts and changes that are going on through various authors. Barry's been doing this along with his wife Nadine for decades. So Barry has worked on books like this. He's got 60 different books to his credit. And on his resume, you'll see New York Times, Wall Street Journal, USA Today. Barry is the guy to get if you want to write a very important book. And I am so proud and so privileged to have worked with Barry for the last, geez, Barry, we started working on this 8 months ago and, uh,
Yes.
and got this book done. So I want to dive right into what this book means to salespeople that happen to be watching this. So the first question I have for you, Barry, is what made you interested in writing a book with me on sales when you could be writing all kinds of different books? What made you
You.
interested in this one?
It's you.
Yeah.
I liked your passion. I was attracted to your passion. You're caring for the salespeople. You're caring for the profession. Your concern about the pressures that the B2B salespeople are under, especially in the last couple of years, and your passion for helping them achieve their goals. That's what attracted me to working with you.
Interesting.
In
Yeah,
fact,
it's not hard to get passionate about this subject.
I remember in our first in-person meeting. Remember, with the other members of the team, we rented that meeting room
Right?
with the floor-to-ceiling whiteboards and the AV materials and so on. I came with an idea about what the book was in
Mhm.
my head. In fact, I had written out, you might remember, an opening story for the book based on the discovery of penicillin.
Right.
So I had a very strong concept for the book.
Mhm.
But then over the next couple of hours in that meeting, I heard you talking and I heard your passion. And I realized that what I was thinking was wrong.
Hmm.
Instead, I should tap into your passion and in order to make a great book. And I think that's what this book accomplishes, turning your passion, in addition to your knowledge and experience, into a book.
Ah, interesting. So that kind of makes me think, Barry. There's a from to. We went from something, or your experience of this was from something you thought that sales was into something different,
Yes.
which is what we wrote the book about. But what did you think? What was your experience of what you thought sales was? If you go back as far as you want to go back, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20.
Mhm. My initial experience with a salesperson was when I was about 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was standing in a little store that sold uh, items to the local people. Uh, just a little neighborhood store. And a salesman came in and he told jokes to everybody. He even told jokes to me. He glad
Mm-hmm.
handed everybody. He shook his hand. He shook hands with everyone. He patted them all on the back. He talked endlessly, and then he left. So that was my image of salespeople. They just talk you up, try to sell you, try to charm you, and they don't really have your interest at heart.
Hmm.
And then as I grew older and I purchased cars and houses and other high ticket items, that feeling was reinforced. They're just there to get the sale. They're happy to say whatever it takes to get the sale. So that was my initial impression, or my impression of salespeople going in. I had no particular impression of B2B salespeople because I had no experience with them.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, that it's disturbing to hear that. I mean, it's always been disturbing to me. And I'm talking to the viewers that are watching this, right? Salespeople who are trying to figure out. We're all trying to figure out together what is our spot, where is our place in today's world. In today's world, as we sit right now, we would have to ask the question: what are 3 things that you think are reshaping what I am now as a salesperson? At our core, we've got AI. We've got a massive attack and confusion on the truth. And here we sit as salespeople. I'm a salesperson, and I have to look deep in to the question: why am I doing this? And how do I navigate this world of people that are questioning the truth, no matter where it comes from?
Well,
In a world of AI, etc.
yeah.
So what's your experience of that now, Barry? You have a different vantage point.
Well, I wanted to ask a question first.
Please.
Truth is a key word. I grew up thinking, salespeople shade the truth at best. And now we seem to be in a world that's almost post-truth. So how can salespeople identify and stick to the truth in an age where there are many different versions of the truth? And our leaders talk about different versions of the truth.
So post-truth. Interesting. I think you've just coined a new phrase for all of us, Barry. We are living in a post-truth era. Well, that puts salespeople in a very, very interesting spot. I think a very important spot. So as we wrote this, Barry, because the book is a key mechanism to invite all us salespeople to examine ourselves, through something that's very easy to access, a book, right?
Mhm.
I can start to access my role in my profession, my career, and why I'm doing this by reading books. And I know most salespeople listen to a lot of books as they want to do this really well. So in this post-truth world now, where does that position what a salesperson needs to be doing?
I think the book we wrote
Mm-hmm.
positions them well because our book is not about the techniques of B2B sales. Our book invites the readers to examine themselves and to ask, who am I? Why am I doing this? Um, what can I do for other people? What can I do for the world? As opposed to, how can I close the sale? How can I move on to the next sale? How can I get a higher position? Uh, we don't offer tips and techniques for making more money in a specific sense. We offer an invitation
Mm-hmm.
to the B2B salespeople to examine themselves, and in so doing, to become better people, which means they will become better salespeople.
Okay. I'm with you, Barry, because we tried to clarify this, not just the message, as you say, it's an invitation, right? Start asking yourself serious, deep questions. Go deep, go wide. So Barry, I always found you absolutely fascinating person, um, as a standalone as a person, but even somebody who writes serious books, broad-reaching books, you've traveled quite a bit. You've traveled around the world. So you went on a recent trip, didn't you?
Yes, but that was not for books.
No, but we're always observing, right? You're always seeing the world for a reason. Like where did you go, and what were you noticing about what's going on in the world that might relate to how salespeople question the world? I don't know if that's a fair question, but
It is a fair question. My wife and I went to Nicaragua.
hmm,
We were there for the opening of a new school. Uh,
huh,
our nephew raised the money for the school and built this school.
hmm,
This is a high school, way up in the hills. It's a 3-hour drive out of Managua, the capital of Nicaragua. Apparently, outside of the main cities, high school and higher education is out of reach of
hmm,
most of the people, especially the girls. If they wanted to go to high school, they might have to take a 2 or 3 hour bus ride into the big city, or they would have to walk unattended through fields and other areas that might be dangerous. So my nephew built this school up in the hills, and we brought along our another member of our family, a
hmm.
7-year old girl, who is our nephew's niece.
Okay.
And it was through her eyes that we saw the differences because she asked all kinds of questions. She said, how can there be a nice school like this after we've driven through areas that weren't so nice? Why don't these people have access to good schools, these children? Why do they speak 5 or 8 different languages in this one school when the national language is Spanish? And she asked many questions. She's a bright little girl.
Hmm.
Uh, and for me, it made me even more aware of the challenges that that many countries have in moving forward in their development. And this relates to sales because the essence of sales, as I've learned from you, the essence of sales is thinking about the other person and how to make their life better.
Hmm.
Thinking about what is their key problem or series of problems at the moment, and how can I help them solve that problem to
Right.
advance their life. So my nephew, in building this school, has solved a problem for a small set of high school age students in Nicaragua. And um, the 7-year-old who was accompanying us learned that it's possible, it's desirable to think about what other people need and how we can help them achieve that. I know that's a rambling discourse,
Not at all.
but the link to sales for me is that I saw through the eyes of a 7-year-old the dawning understanding that we can help people and we can do it through sales, not by looking to make the sale and get the commission, but by asking what is their problem and can I help them solve it?
Oh man, yeah, fantastic. So you bring up a very important point and a very serious question for all salespeople. Why am I doing this? And how do I feel good about it? And what will motivate me and drive me into bigger and bigger opportunities, right? And it seems to be the shift from what do I get to what do I offer? What do I find and what do I solve? And that's very altruistic work. That's very noble work. And Barry, how many conversations did we have about what's happening in the world today, in a world of AI that is going to replace a lot of people's jobs, where that means the question, I'm surprised at how the question is left unanswered. What are we going to do with all these people that don't have traditional jobs? And where does sales fit into that? And a very clear message that we tried to bring across in the book, correct me if I'm wrong, is sales is a meaningful profession if you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic work, and the thirst and the need for it is only increasing if we do exactly what you're talking about. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Every person has their own story. They live in their own story. In B2B sales, every contact that you have in your account has their own experience of the problem you're trying to solve, and you got to hear that problem. You find that problem. If you're doing that, wow, you are needed, and you'll be welcome to that boardroom table inside the organization and finding and fixing problems.
Well, let me ask you, why don't salespeople do this? Why don't they know it?
I think the good ones do, Barry. I mean, I don't think this is hard to understand, right? And it's an easy thing to talk about. I think you got to strip away what gets lost. What makes us get lost? We get really focused on finding and solving a problem by making sure that we're not lost in the peripheral noise. And in today's world, that's another major issue is noise. We talk about truth. Well, truth is a little easier to get to if you strip away noise,
Mm-hmm.
right? So uh, to be clear, a salesperson doesn't have difficulty finding and fixing a problem. They do have difficulty getting immersed in what I would say is noise. Other peripheral reasons to try to get your product into the customer's hands. Don't worry, your product is a solution for the right circumstances. Your product is the right solution for certain circumstances, customer circumstances. But your customer is the one who experiences those circumstances in their own way. That's what we have to find out. And it's intriguing. It's enjoyable. That's enjoyable. All you got to do is hear people's stories and their experience of how they are feeling the problem, realizing the problem, being affected by the problem, having a lack of definition of the problem. They're only immersed in the symptoms. That's why it's so fascinating.
If we could go back, you said something fascinating. The noise.
Mm-hmm.
So what is this noise, and how do you set it aside?
Okay, so if I'm a salesperson, right? We're all in this together. We're all as salespeople. We're going into a account. Could be an existing customer, could be a new customer. It doesn't matter because the circumstances have changed. If I've had a customer for 5 years, 10 years, 1 year, uh, part of the noise is I get used to the way things were leading up to now, right? I get used to how a customer bought the previous solution. I now have to be very present and say, yes, but what's happening now? What has changed? What is their circumstances? What circumstances have changed? That's easy to find out because circumstances always change. Circumstances mean different technology has come in. They've had new customers come in. They've had regime change. They've had different people come into their organization that now have to be trained on the product. Their product has to marry up with other products and technologies and production that they have to use. Their circumstances always change. The noise is the, the noise is, it sounds obvious, but anything other than that. The only focus you need to have as a sales practitioner is I have to find out how their circumstances have changed and how they are experiencing that and what's the effect of that. Because we have the luxury as salespeople of coming from the outside. You automatically have objectivity. You have the eyes of a child every time you walk into a customer situation. They're immersed in the problem. The creator of the problem can't see the problem. You can, right? You're the salesperson. You come in and you go, why are you doing things like this? How come that's out of place? Have you considered this? Why aren't they doing this way? How did they come to that? Noise can be their politics. In an organization, and this is fascinating, politics decides everything. They are handcuffed by their politics. By inviting a salesperson in, and a decision maker knows this, by inviting a salesperson in, you have invited something in that's extremely valuable. It's objectivity. You as a salesperson have a position, an automatic position, if you will. You have a vantage point that is from the outside. You will see things that they don't see. So pretty well everything they see is either helps you define the problem, or it's noise. It's got nothing to do with what they're actually having a problem with.
You've mentioned,
if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and it leads back to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The salesperson coming in is objective because they're not caught up in the politics of the company and the budgetary problems of the company and the labor problems of the company and so on. So they have objectivity. They're supposed to be bringing in the truth. So they're supposed to be the bringers of truth and objectivity. But how do you convince a potential client that you are bearing the truth and you are objective? Why wouldn't a client think, well, you're just trying to sell me your stuff?
Okay. Yeah. And so I'm going to introduce the words that we keep hammering away on. The shift from a salesperson to a sales practitioner. Okay. So why did the word practitioner keep strengthening itself over the last several years? What is a practitioner? What comes to mind? The definition of practitioner is someone who's highly trained in a very specific area, as are all of us and you salespeople. You are trained in a very specific product area. So you can see things the customer can't see. So I would liken a practitioner to, let me state a few obvious ones. A radiologist, a doctor. A doctor is a practitioner. Their job is to come in and look at, a doctor's job as a practitioner is to come in and look inside your body, which you can't see and you don't have the knowledge of. You don't know how to navigate this machine and look under the hood, right? The doctor can, the practitioner can. You're a salesperson, you're a practitioner. You know more than they do about your product. Like, bet on it. So you know how to come in and observe. And what does the doctor say to you when you go for a checkup? Sit down. Where does it hurt? Here. Okay, let me go to work. I need an X-ray. I need an MRI. I need these blood tests. I need these samples. And then I'm going to let you know what I've found. And I'll give you evidence. I'll show you what I found, how I went about finding it, what did it say, and then we'll get to what we're going to do about it. But I got to be sure first. That's us. Mm-hmm. That's us. That's us. We are salespeople. We are practitioners. We establish our role with the customer as coming in and saying, I'm here to help you. I have to observe. Let me observe. Let me look. Let me ask everyone who's involved with this. I will do a thorough analysis. I will do the diagnosis. And I'll show you everything I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and then whatever the results show. Does that make sense, Mr. Customer? Doesn't cost you anything. I'm doing all the work. I'm doing the observing. I'm doing the investigating. Let me look and I'll show you what I find. And if you agree with it, then we can start working on a solution for that. It's not hard. It's not hard.
Yes,
What you don't want to do is come in and start telling a customer what they need before you've looked. It's ridiculous, right? Imagine if a doctor came up to you and said, "Hi, I'm Dr. Rob, and I'm going to do a kidney transplant." You say, "Well, that makes no sense." Whoa. No, I have to look first. Yes, I'm a kidney specialist, but I got to look first because you said you had a pain here, but I want to verify before I cut.
I think we tell the story in the book from your experiences as a Xerox salesperson, where you attached a little device to a Xerox machine to monitor the health of the machine and how many copies it printed or how many copies it could print. And then you were able to use the results of that test. I think it was over the course of a couple of days or a couple of weeks.
Couple months. Yeah.
Couple months.
Yeah.
To show the customer, okay, this is what your machine is doing. This is what it's capable of doing. Here are the areas where you can be strengthened and so on. So you were acting like a doctor presenting the reports at that point.
It's that simple. Yeah.
How did the customer respond?
Sorry, Barry?
How did the customer respond when you showed them the reports?
Well, they have to know that you're doing the investigation first. A customer needs to buy into that, right? And here we all sit as salespeople. I hope we know that, right? A customer has to buy into my question, will you allow me to look?
And that gets back to my issue about truth and objectivity. How do you get them to believe that you are there presenting the truth and that you are objective so that they will buy into the investigation?
Yeah, I think you back it up even further. And again, I'm going to go to this practitioner methodology. The top salespeople and the only salespeople that will do well, they won't survive. They'll thrive. And the only salespeople that we need moving forward, and we need a lot of them, are those that focus on this diagnosis, the evaluation of the customer problem, the customer circumstance. I can ask a customer, will you allow me to look, observe, diagnose, dissect, peer inside? This is the method I will use. These are the variables I'm looking for, all up front. Let me peer inside in this way, using this methodology. This is how we look and verify if there's a problem. Does that make sense, Mr. Customer, that we look in this way? And they say, well, I have people here that are supposed to find that. Well, how's that working out? They haven't found it, right? That's kind of like me doing a diagnosis on my own body. That's ridiculous, right? I'm not a doctor. I need a doctor, right? And then the doctor needs a radiologist. And then the radiologist needs a technician. And hence we come back and we say, guess what? You have headaches. Worst case, it's a you know what. Best case, you know what? There's a little air pressure difference in the weather. You're fine. Oh, thanks. It's a really but I don't know. As soon as a customer does diagnosis on themselves, I point you to a company that's failing. The biggest things happen from the outside. And you're it. You have the luxury of being it. You're the salesperson. Like it's such a beautiful position. It's such a beautiful vantage point, and it's such a needed role if you do it right. Focus on positioning the diagnosis. Focus on being a practitioner, not just some guy with a dog with a note, as we say. Somebody comes in and, as you said, comes in and wants to be liked by everybody, and just be the nicest guy in the room. It's too hard.
Are companies receptive to this? If a sales practitioner knocks on the door and says, I'd like to examine you, I'd like to perform a full diagnosis, are companies receptive to this, knowing that might disrupt their operations, at least to a minor extent?
Well, let's put ourselves. It's a great question, but let's put ourselves in the customer's shoes. Who is the customer? It's a decision maker. For God's sakes, deal with the decision maker, right? Be it a department head, the owner of the company, the president, the CEO. Find out the decision. The decision maker is the one who they'll either be the financial decision maker, the feeler of the problem. They feel the problem, and they're the ones who are accountable for getting the result that isn't happening. So if I put myself in the shoes of a decision maker, and I'm answering your question, yes, Barry, we need the sales practitioner to come in. The decision maker, think about the decision maker. And to all the salespeople that are listening, think about the decision makers that you've dealt with that have welcomed you in. And I know there's a lot of them. A decision maker means they have a problem. A problem is only a problem because I haven't found a way to deal with it. A problem is something I've been grinding on, and it remains a problem. And it sounds obvious because I haven't found the solution. If the solution were easy, it wouldn't be a problem. I know that sounds very simplistic. A decision maker has been in that role of deciding and making decisions for a long time. If they've been doing that for years, think about how hard that is for a decision maker to pull a rabbit out of the hat every month, every year, every week, trying to come up with new innovation, creativity. Sooner or later, you run out of ideas. The salesperson, the sales practitioner, is your best friend. A decision maker loves, especially if they're mature, right? And they get mature really quick. As soon as you get in a position of authority, you get mature really quick. You realize you don't have all the answers. Salespeople are your best friend. If I invite sales practitioners in on a regular basis across different product and service areas, they're a free source of information and objectivity. Why wouldn't a decision, and you can ask them this, why wouldn't you ask me in just to have a look? Doesn't cost you anything. And I'm determined to find something that you haven't found yet. I'm determined to find something that you can't see. And I know that's a tall order because you're a smart guy, but I'll find something. And if I don't, I'll leave. Decision makers need somebody from the outside to help them with the creative process, with the scientific process of diagnosis and evaluation. And you're it.
So would you recommend that decision makers bring in sales practitioners on a regular basis?
I do. And it's interesting. Again, we talk about this big change. Those aren't just words. There's a big change in the world right now. One of the things that we confront, and we confronted this in the book, didn't we, Barry? Cheating death. We confronted some of the myths that have resided for decades, and they don't work anymore. And one of the myths is this: the customer is always right. That's a lie. That is not true. I'm a customer. You're a customer. I don't know about you, but most things I buy, I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue. So a sales practitioner comes in and I need them. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that our role has changed as salespeople. The wise customer knows that their role has changed. The customer knows I'm more powerful with people helping me. When do I get help? When do you and I get help? When we don't know what we're doing. And I allow that luxury of saying, I don't know what to do here. You do. Come on in and give me your help. You got to show me what you're doing, how you're going to do it. Show me all the evidence. That's truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's truth.
Yes.
And so, yes, a customer needs salespeople more than they ever did, and they know it. And it's not all of them. That's not a blanket statement. There's a growing, you look at trajectory. You look at trajectory and how things are moving. The proportion of wise decision makers is growing. And the proportion of decision makers who want to hoard and keep it all to themselves and pretend they know everything they're doing, they're gone. You can't do it that way. You need help.
And that's because our world is becoming more and more complicated, technical, interconnected.
Very much so. Yeah, absolutely.
We can't just fix a machine by kicking it anymore.
No, exactly. And keeping the same technology for years and years and years isn't working. And all you got to do is point to certain legacy industries that are obsolete and are getting like railroaded and just run over by new technologies.
Mm-hmm.
Where's IBM? Sorry to mention a name, but Jesus, that's a company that was supposed to, at one point, they guaranteed a job for life because they were going to be the central and the only computer manufacturer forever. Well, Kodak, yeah. Like, how did that work out? So we know this now, right? This is not, we're not saying anything that people don't know. All us salespeople know that we are now in a world where we are in a good position. We're in a very good position. If we do it right, you got to do it right.
Let's go back to truth again. I feel like I'm harping on this.
No, go for it.
But truth and objectivity, do the decision makers view the salespeople or sales practitioners coming in as the bearers of truth and objectivity? Or do they feel that they have to sort through them to find the ones who are based in truth and objectivity?
Yeah. So, what would you say if I am the single source of truth? What do we think of a person or an organization or an entity that says we are the single source of truth?
We think they're lying.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. So, yeah, and that's dishonest, right? However, if I say I'm determined to find the truth, I don't know it yet. I don't know if my product is going to fit every single company. I have to find that out, and I can only do that one customer and one customer contact at a time. So it's my process of finding the truth. It's no different. So let's be honest. We're in a world now where we say, okay, do I get the truth of what's going on in the world by the news? Well, which station? They're all politicized. That doesn't mean they're bad. Our number one, well, according to Yuval Harari, we have a democracy depends on self-correcting measures. Truth depends on self-correcting mechanisms. One of the self-correcting mechanisms in society is journalism, the news. Another is education, and another is the legal profession, judges in the court system. So now I say, okay, what's this got to do with sales? Well, I am part of the self-correcting mechanism in an organization, any organization. And to find truth is my job. I have to find out if something's broken. If it is, I'm going to find first symptoms, then problem sources. I have to provide evidence for that. Evidence is king. I can go into every single customer situation, know what variables I'm looking for, add variables to it as I find the customer's circumstance, and then I basically create a case study for the customer and say, I found a problem. This is what tells me there's a problem. Here's the evidence. What am I missing? I've involved your people. I've studied your circumstances, and this is what has revealed itself. Go ahead and cross-check that with your own internal people or anything you want. But this is what I have found. And customers love that because it cuts through their politics. Internally, they may have fiefdoms and, they're building little mini empires inside and everybody wants to protect their empire. The salesperson, they can bring a salesperson in to do an investigation and they're not married to anybody inside. If you do it well, right? You're just studying a customer problem that needs to be fixed that has a cost to that customer. A problem has a cost. So part of this whole process as a sales practitioner is you find the problem, the evidence for it, how you arrived at it, and what's the cost of that problem. The cost of the problem now says, if the cost of the problem is bigger than the cost of the solution, you just got a sale.
But if you don't find a problem, then you've succeeded in that
Absolutely.
you've investigated, you found there is no problem, or there's no problem for which you have a solution, and you can pat yourself on the back and walk away.
Isn't that what you want to find?
Yes,
You know,
but how do you balance that with the necessity of making a certain number of sales?
yeah. So I know early in my career, I don't what became the most efficient approach um, to hitting my numbers was to understand where my product fit. So every customer I went in and did a needs analysis, a needs assessment, a diagnosis. And if I would find out, I always win because I find out the problem exists and I know what circumstances now reveal that problem. And if I have a solution for it, then I win. I get the sale. So you either get the sale or you get the education. Either way I win. If I get the education, it says don't go into these customers anymore with these circumstances. Go into these customers because that industry tends to have more of these circumstances. Go out and validate that, verify that, go investigate it, find it. And each customer reveals you even more. You're always getting an education. Sales is so much fun. It's such a great profession that way because you always win. Either you're going to get a deal or you're going to get an education. And if you get an education, it points you to where the solutions fit and you'll exceed your numbers.
So you need to do at least some sort of analysis before knocking on the door to understand
From what's available.
the company's needs. Yes. So um, if your pre-analysis is limited,
Yep, which it
how
will
can you
be.
feel how can you feel confident going in with just this much information behind you?
Yeah, and so now this is existential. It's today. If all salespeople are saying, "Well, how do I do this now? How do I get in the door? How do I get in the door?" Do I use there's chatbots? I send emails and they get rejected, and all on and on. How do I do this? Uh, Okay, so your pre-analysis, you have a product. Your company that you work for creates a product. It's designed to fix a specific problem that a certain kind of customers have. We know, you know, that your product wouldn't have been built, developed, manufactured if there wasn't some market studies done already that showed there's a need for this. So you know that you're going to know that you have a certain type of customer in a certain type of industry with certain circumstances that are likely. And then now you've got to get in that door. How do you do that? The good news, it's not hard. People love to when an actual person talks to them. If you're willing to pick up a phone, send an email, knock on a door. I'm not kidding. Knock on a door. Go to a trade show. You know where these people are going. All you have to do is find out where these people are going to be. They're going to be at trade shows. I know I'm stating the obvious, but between trying to meet them 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways, you're going to run into them and they're going to see your persistence. And your only message, all you have to do is let them know we have a product that we think fits. The only way I know how to do that is to ask you to meet and to ask you some questions and see if we've got a potential fit.
So now we're getting into techniques
We are
which you discuss in the online course
right,
that accompanies the book.
right. Yeah, we've got spireselling.com. We've got five courses, 2 courses for sales managers and 3 courses for sales practitioners. And it starts off with fundamentals and basic skills to get you started. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, they all will layer skills onto this, and they really focus on the skills you need as a sales practitioner, right? And really, all those, Barry, as you know, we wrote in the book, uh, in your deep core, it's going to start with your sense of your role, your curiosity. You're driving curiosity to find out what's in behind every single company. It's an education. It's a free case study that you get to do. It's like getting an MBA, only you get paid to go get your MBA by going to see all these different customers. Of course, you're going to get some rejection. But that's that. But you're going to get welcome into certain doors, and if you constantly course correct, they're letting me in here, but not in there. Okay, I'll go more here. Um, and your character, you're gonna find that you have deep character, you have persistence, you have resilience, you have what it takes. If you focus on your curiosity and and really a deep sense of meaning in your work, you have a vocation that is actually, it changes the world, because it changes what people will be doing that they don't know to do yet. It's because of you that you're going to break down walls. Salespeople change everything. All ideas come from the outside, and you're it.
I see we're up against the clock. Quick question. Would you recommend that people read the book, take the course, both?
Well, yeah, come and visit us at spireselling.com. Uh, and the courses and the book will be available there. The book is called Cheating Death. Um, we have another one for transforming sales cultures for sales leaders, but our big focus is on you, the sales practitioner. You're everything. Everything revolves around the sales practitioner, and you need everything and deserve everything to prop you up. So yeah, visit us at spireselling.com. Uh, it helps us on the YouTube channel if you push the subscribe button, and we are going to be doing lots of these interviews and lots of posts to help sales practitioners. So, yeah, I know we're up against the end here, Barry. Barry, thanks so much for doing this with me. This has been great.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, we're probably going to write another one, Barry.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks, Barry. And thanks, everybody, for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and visit us at spireselling.com. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye. Really? Wow. Wow.